All right. Hello and welcome. So excited to have you here. Really looking forward to today's session. We're going to be talking really through our model on how to triple your sales by getting your internet marketing right. This is a model we've built out over the years. I do want to make this as practical and actionable as possible. So, we've got a workbook that you'll be able to dive into. This is live and interactive, so I do want you to chat in with me and interact with me as we go so we can make this as interactive as possible. While I'm getting a couple other people in here, I'm just going to drop the poll one more time. Let us know what type of company you run. Is it plumbing, HVAC, electrical, full service? Answer that for me here in a sec. It also gives me some context as to who we've got on with us today and make sure we make this as practical as possible. So it looks like a mix of plumbing, HVAC, and full service, which is typically the case. All right, let me share my screen and we're going to get right into it. So here's what we're going to cover on today's session. Really, I want to talk about our accelerated growth model for tripling your sales by getting your internet marketing right. There's very specific things you can do in a very specific order that can have an outcome. And so we want to give you the big picture model. We'll talk about the most important online marketing channels you should be tapping into to grow your plumbing, HVAC, home service business. And there's lots, right? From SEO to pay-per-click to social media, email marketing, retargeting, everything in between. We'll talk about the key channels you want to plug into, how to map your website to make sure it's a conversion machine that can convert visitors into leads and leads into sales and sales into repeat customers. We'll talk about some of the key strategies for generating better organic rankings so you're coming up in the non-paid listings for the most important keywords. How to win with local service ads, which is a big play in 2024, making sure you're Google guaranteed and that you're playing that game to win. And then how to make sure we're converting your leads into sales at the highest level possible. We'll share some very specific strategies to double or triple your conversion rate from a lead into a sale or into a book job. I'm sure we'll be covering things in and around that as we go, but that's the main thing. If that feels like a good use of your time today, just give me a 1 in the chat. That way I know that we're plugging along in the right direction.
I saw the email, but there was no attachment with it.
Let me just mute that. Okay, so real quick, who I am and why you should listen. My name is Josh Nelson. I'm the founder and CEO of Plumbing and HVAC SEO. I'm the author of How to Triple Your Sales by Getting Your Internet Marketing Right, which is the topic of today's session. Really, that book was published about 4 years ago. And every year I kind of update the content, update the strategies that go along with that. And so I'm the author of that book. I'm actively involved in PHCC, QSC, Nexstar, Service Roundtable, ACCA. But I'd say more important than any of that stuff is that at this point, I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of plumbing and HVAC contractors in some of the most competitive markets across the country and been able to see a lot of them go from virtual obscurity online to the point where they're now the dominant players in their market. Many of them we've seen literally millions of dollars in revenue growth working together over the years. And so what I share isn't based on theory. It's not based on something I read in a book somewhere. It's not based on something I read on Search Engine Journal. It's based on real world experience working with companies just like yours. And so that's why you should listen. And this is what we do day in and day out. We're a full service digital marketing agency. I know, Jerry, you're already a client on here. This is what we do day in and day out. We've got a full-time team of web designers, SEO people, content writers, Google Ads managers, and we eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff for lunch. Our mission is to help triple the sales of 1,000 plumbing, HVAC, and home service companies over the next 5 years. And so I really believe that giving you this information is a big part of accomplishing that mission. And if you're interested in talking with us about how we can help you with your online marketing, if you're not already a client, we would love the opportunity to chat and do a complete review of what you have in place and where there's room for improvement. So let's get into it. Why is internet marketing important? Why should we even be thinking about how we can do better with our digital marketing strategy? A couple of things. I really believe that marketing will make or break your business. Regardless of how good you are on the technical side of the equation, in terms of how good you are with your plumbing and your mechanics or your HVAC and your electrical, if you don't have customers calling in and inquiring, you don't have any work to do, right? There's really no opportunity for growth. There's no opportunity to build that team. So getting the right marketing strategy and having a knob that you can turn is super important. I think the other reason it's important is that you guys, the owners of plumbing, HVAC, home service businesses, make a big investment in marketing historically over the years, in Yellow Pages, buying the double truck ads. And then more recently, you guys have made major investments in SEO and pay-per-click and social media and everything in between. And unfortunately, or fortunately, a lot of times you wind up not having the return on investment that you were looking for. Like, you're spending money and you're getting some growth, but it's just not where you need it to be. And so I think it's really important to dial in the strategy and make sure you've got a tangible, measurable return on where your money's going. But I think really in today's market, the biggest reason marketing is important is the opportunity cost of parked trucks. We all know how hard it is to find good technicians, to get those technicians ramped up. And if you wind up with parked trucks and technicians that aren't busy, you have the possibility of them hopping ship to a competitor, or just not being able to keep them employed, which is a big, big problem that needs to be solved. And so those are the reasons in my mind, if we don't solve for that, being able to spend $1 and get a great return on investment to keep the trucks running, you won't be able to get the outcomes that you're after in terms of the growth of your business. So the opportunity we're looking to solve for on today's session specifically, make sure that we nail our marketing. We got a great strategy that keeps the phone ringing, that we have a great return on that investment, right? If we're spending money as it is, we might as well make sure we're getting as great a return on investment as possible so that we can continue to spend those dollars, so that we can continue to grow, so that we can continue to get the outcomes that we're after. Make sure we generate enough leads to hit our revenue targets, to keep the trucks running, to keep the business flowing so you don't have the opportunity cost. And when you are ready to bring on that next truck, you know that there's a strategy, there's a knob you can turn to make sure you've got enough volume to keep that entire group busy. And so in my mind, success is to maximize our lead flow, hit our sales goals, and have a continually growing home service business, which is absolutely possible in today's market. I do have a workbook that we're going to track along with. And if you don't have the link already, you can access this by going to plumberseo.net/workbook. I'm going to drop that in the chat real quick. www.plumberseo.net/workbook. You can grab that right there. And I want to start with a story because I love stories and I think stories are great. I want to tell a story of Mark Norman from Shamrock Plumbing. He's a plumbing drain cleaning company based in Orlando, Florida. And when I met Mark, he had grown his business over the years in the Yellow Pages. Double truck ad, it kept him busy, but at some point, the business started to drop off. And it was just like, man, I'm not getting the phone calls I need to keep my plumbing and drain division hopping and to keep things moving. And what he realized, and probably what you've realized is the reason you're on today's session, is the customers left. They stopped looking at the Yellow Pages. They went to the internet. Now, this is no longer new information, but at the time, it was a pretty big revelation that, man, if they're not looking in the Yellow Pages, they have to be looking somewhere. And where are they going, right? We know in today's market, 97% of your customers use the internet in some form or fashion before inquiring about your services. So they're going to Google, they're going to Bing, they're going to Nextdoor, they're going to Angie, right? We know all of these different places, but that's where things shifted for Mark and in his business. And so in order to solve that, he was trying to decide, like, how do I own the market in my area? How do I make sure I'm coming up? I'm getting those leads, I'm getting those calls like I used to when the number one place they looked was the Yellow Pages. And so he tried a couple things over the years. First thing he tried, which it was common at that time, was, if the Yellow Pages did pretty well for me in the past, now they've got internet services, I'm going to hire Yellow Pages. And so he signed up for YP.com. YP.com just basically put him on Yellow Pages, right? And it really didn't work. He just didn't get much deal flow or much growth for it. The second thing he tried was a company came in and said, hey, look, we're going to run Google ads for you. We're going to get aggressive with Google ads. We're going to make sure you're coming up in the ad listings. Your phone's going to ring. It's going to be awesome. And that worked a little bit. Like, he generated enough leads to basically break even. But regardless of how much he spent, like if he increased it to $6,000, $10,000 a month, he only basically generated enough to cover his costs. And I think the reason those two strategies failed were YP.com, it basically just threw up a template website for him and put him on YP.com, that website where nobody is really looking, very, very small percentage. The second strategy with the pay-per-click campaign, they used the same generic website, and they were only getting him ranked in the paid listings. And so his cost per lead was high. His website wasn't built to convert. And so neither of these really generated the outcomes that they needed. And so really what Mark needed to solve for was, how do we make sure we're showing up in the search engines for the plumbing related keywords that we know our customers are looking for? And how do we make sure our website is built to convert so that people actually get there and they call us, or they get there and they fill in the form? And so that was when we connected with Mark. And I just want to make sure we understand there's a lot of moving parts on the search engines when we search today. There's local service ads at the top. There's the map, which comes up directly below that in most cases. And then there's the organic non-paid listings. And so for his mind, it was like, I need to make sure I'm coming up in all of these areas so that I can be sure I'm getting those leads, I'm getting those calls. And so working with Mark over the last couple of years, we were able to get the website built to convert. And we built a great website that's built to convert, that has personality, that has authenticity. And then we got to make sure it was coming up in the search results. And so type in Orlando plumbing, drain cleaning, water heater repair, repiping. We made sure that website ranks really well for those various keywords. And over the years, we went from just organic to organic and paid, organic remarketing. We kind of have scaled that up over time. This is what we call our digital dominance method, which touches local service ads and retargeting and online directories and PPC and social media, marketing automation, repeat and referral, and of course, the organic side of the equation. And if you kind of look over the years, back in 2017, he was tracking about 230 leads per month at a $1,600 spend, $6.96 per lead. 2018, $3,000 spend, 495 leads per month. 2019, 2020, 2022, 3,000 spend, 818 leads. And so you can see this number has grown and grown and grown over the years as we implemented the strategies we're going to be sharing with you guys on today's call. And so he has more than tripled his leads and sales during that period of time. Actually, he grew from a one-man operation doing $250,000 a year back in 2011 to doing over $1.5 million per year, expanded from one guy to 7 guys. It has confidence that he's got the deal flow that he needs to keep the trucks running as the business continues to grow, as the business continues to expand. And so really that's what I want for you. And I know some of you guys are coming at this well above $1.5 million, right? The same principles apply, whether you're trying to go from $500,000 to $1.5 million, or you're trying to go from 2 million to 7 million. There is a strategy I'm going to be showing you that you can do with your online marketing to hit the deal flow to get those outcomes. And so let's apply this to you. I'm going to walk you through the accelerated growth model. And again, this is the model to triple your sales over the next 12 to 24 months, regardless of where you are in your business right now. So there's 3 things we have to solve for in order to accelerate our growth, in order to triple our sales. Number 1 is we have to drive leads, right? We have to have a mechanism to get the phone ringing, to get the web submissions and the online booking flowing. So that's the first thing. Number 2 is we have to maximize conversion, right? We have to make sure we've got a strategy to convert those leads or those visitors into leads and those leads into sales. And then ultimately we want a strategy to convert that one-time customer into a repeat buyer that refers us to others, right? This becomes a flywheel effect if we can convert our leads, and then we can make sure we convert them into a repeat buyer. And then number 3 is we have to optimize the results, right? We have to figure out what is it that's actually working in terms of our marketing, and so doing double down. Like if we're doing great with LSA or Google service ads, let's put more money into that so that we continue to grow and continue to scale. And so we're going to go into each one of these throughout this session, and ideally you'll walk away with a really clear action plan on where you need to shift your focus, where you need to be doing better in terms of your online marketing. So the first in my mind, in order to drive leads, is the organic play. Like I really believe some of your highest quality, lowest cost traffic is going to come from organic search. Like when someone just goes to Google and searches plumber, drain cleaning, water heater repair, AC installation, like those actual head terms in your geographic area, you can get great traffic from that. I've got a full hour-long session where I can walk you through exactly what to do on your website to get the outcomes. Not going to cover that today. I'm going to hit the 80-20 principle, but there are certain things we need to do on page, which is on the website itself in terms of the pages and the content. There's certain things we need to do off page in terms of building links and citations and authority. And then there's certain things we need to do in terms of how we're updating the content on the website and the blog content that we push out to pass signals to Google that will move us up in the organic rankings for our most important keywords. And there's specific things we want to do on Google Maps. And so in your workbook, I've kind of given you some of the details here. I will be doing a webinar on this topic next month. We'll go deep on the very specifics on what to do from an SEO perspective. But a good example of this is a client we work with in East Lansing called the Meridian Company. And they're a plumbing, HVAC, electrical, and remodeling company. They've kind of continued to add services over time. And you can see in their market, they're the dominant, organic map listing and search result for literally hundreds of different keywords. And if we look at their tracking here, and I'm super focused on the data, $8,000 in spend. We track 417 leads per month. It's an average of $19.32 per month. But really, for this particular drive traffic from organic, I want you to see that a lion's share of these calls are coming from organic and from Google Maps. And so if they weren't coming up in the map listings and they weren't coming up organically, they'd be missing out on a lion's share of the opportunity in their market. And so you'll see here, what is this, like 65% from organic. So I'm a big believer we want to do paid search as well. We want to tap into local service ads. We want to have remarketing in place, but we can't sleep on the organic side of the equation because we know people are clicking those listings. We know people are calling from those listings. And so 80-20 principle there, right? Very specific things we want to do to make sure we come up and we rank organically because, again, there's lots of search for that. Addition to organic, we should be doing some type of paid search. And usually when we say paid search, people go straight to Google Ads. And I'm a believer that Google Ads should be part of the strategy, but it's only one part of your paid strategy. This visual kind of paints the picture of what I think you should be doing from a paid ads perspective. Yes, organic should be the foundation. Have a good website with all of the right pages that's properly optimized, that's coming up in the non-paid listings. From there, you want Google Ads and you want local service ads. And I think you should be doing both. Get Google guaranteed, get the background check done, open up the budget right now. Still your lowest cost per lead from a paid perspective is local service ads. So don't sleep on local service ads. From there, I think at that moment, you need to be doing some type of retargeting and automation. So retargeting is just pixeling people when they get to your website, knowing they're in the market, but also knowing that not everyone is an immediate buyer. Some people will get to your website, especially if they're thinking about a renovation or changing out a system like a water heater or an air conditioner, thinking about doing some type of higher end electrical installation. They might get to your website and still be in an evaluation period. And we find that something like 60% of the visitors to your site are still in an evaluation period. And so if we don't have retargeting in place where we can follow that person across the internet and continue to advertise for them, we're leaving opportunity on the table. And so we want to make sure we're doing retargeting on Facebook and on the Google Ads network, which basically hits all of the sites somebody might be on. So if they're on ESPN or they're on CNN or they're hanging out in Gmail, they start to see your ads and they're like, man, this plumbing or HVAC company seems to be very proactive. Well, we're not marketing to the entire market that you're in. We're just marketing to the customers that have been to your website in the last 30, 60, 90 days. So we can catch those non-immediate buyers. And this has a multiple effect in terms of the effectiveness of your other marketing strategies. The other thing I think as you get your organic and paid that you have to have in place is automation. I'm going to talk about this more as we go, but speed to lead is one of the most critical factors for conversion from a visitor to a booked job. And if you're not leveraging automation to follow up with missed calls, to follow up with somebody that called in but wasn't ready to book right then, to follow up with people that submit a form on your site, your conversion rates aren't going to be where they need to be. And you probably won't get the return on investment that you should. And so hopefully this visual makes sense that we're going to have a good organic footprint. We're going to run paid search and local service ads, but we're also going to be running retargeting and automation to make sure we can get a lift on the conversion rate that actually turn into book jobs and revenue for your company. Kind of as you move up from there, the other paid strategies that you can tap into are, the paid directories and the pay per lead services. So paid directories like Angie, for instance, like Thumbtack, those are more pay per lead. Like nowadays you can sign up and you can pay on a per lead basis. Not a huge fan of those from a quality perspective. Certain markets do pretty well. If you've got a great reputation on Yelp or on Angie, you can do decently well. But those are highly speed to lead driven. They're going to go to you. They're going to go to 6 other contractors or more. And if you don't have Johnny on the spot to call immediately and or to follow up over time, you're not going to get a great return from those types of leads. I do have them in the equation because if deal flow is low, like for instance, you're not getting enough from organic and or paid search, you can always turn these leads on just to meet your lead flow volume needs. And with automation, you can actually convert them at a higher level than you do today. And so, kind of as you move up from there, you've got more brand advertising opportunities like Facebook ads, TikTok ads, YouTube ads in your market. In my mind, until you're maxing out your organic footprint, it doesn't make a lot of financial sense to invest in brand advertising online. So that's big advertising on Facebook in your local market with a special offer, big advertising on YouTube. I find though, when you get to kind of that $10 million plus threshold, there is something to be said for running brand advertising to continue to become the known provider in your market. It can be quite effective if you've got a large enough budget to play that game. I think for most of us though, focusing on organic Google ads, local service ads with retargeting and automation is enough to win the day, kind of push us to that multiple $1 million level. When I talk with a lot of contractors about paid ads, like, I tried Google ads and it didn't work and I didn't get a good return on investment. A lot of time it's because the way the campaign was set up and structured, it was basically like one ad group for all of the key terms. We were driving traffic to the main page on the site. And when you do it that way, you're not tapping into Google's quality score algorithm, and you wind up paying more per click, which means you're paying more per lead. And it's kind of the recipe for failure with Google ads. I can tell you when you do this right, one text ad to one landing page with a very specific call to action, you can get a great return on investment from Google ads. This is an example of one of the clients we work with, Cardinal Plumbing and HVAC. You can see here, just on Google ads specifically, about a $10,000 spend, 224 leads generated, which is about $40 per lead. If we kind of plot out the math, 40% conversion rate is 90 book jobs, average ticket $750. That's $67,000 on a $9,000 spend. It's a 7.5 time return on investment. And so really, I think you have to be getting at least a 5 times ROI on your paid ads in order to be profitable, right? By the time you pay your material costs, by the time you pay your technicians, a 1-to-1 return on investment isn't going to cut it. But I can show you example after example after example where we can consistently get, 5 to 9 times return on investment and higher by setting up the campaigns correctly. And so driving leads, we talked about organic. We're going to make sure we're coming up in the organic listings on the directories. Number 2, we've got paid search, local service ads, retargeting. Number 3, I think a big opportunity for most of us is database marketing. And I don't think most plumbing, HVAC, home service companies are really tapping into this opportunity. You've got past customers, you've got past inquiries, and if you're not actively communicating with them via email and SMS and making an offer on a consistent basis to get back into the home, you're leaving money on the table. If you're not reaching out to them and asking for referrals, you're leaving money on the table. And so lots of ways to do this. Like Service Titan has some marketing automation built into it these days. Really what I found works best is getting that past customer database, that past inquiry database, and communicating via SMS. If you're only, SMS being like text messaging, if you're only sending an email, it's going to spam or it's going to white noise and they're not going to respond to it. We still find in today's market, if you send a text message that's short and expecting a response, you can get a really high conversion rate. So just as an example, This is a text message sent out. This is Alice with Bob's HVAC. With fall here, we want to be sure your home is protected from the cold. As your trusted HVAC professionals, we're running a limited special for $500 off new HVAC install. Simply reply yes, and we'll send you a coupon with the details. The beauty of this type of message is it's simple, and you can find somebody that wasn't actively looking but has a problem that they're looking to solve. And all they have to do is say, yeah, send me the details, or yes, or some type of positive intent. And then we can trigger automation to say, hey, great, here's, click here to schedule a time, and follow with them until they actually schedule. Good example of this in the real world. The client we work with, 72 Degrees, did a very similar campaign. They had 5,000 past prospects in their database that we emailed or SMS'd over time. We had 300 replies, which resulted in 119 booked jobs, 24 actually completed installs for $84,000 in revenue, marketing to the existing database. So we didn't have to spend money on ads. We didn't have to do anything extra. We just found the cash in their database that was unleveraged. And so you want to make sure that some type of offer is being made to your database on an ongoing basis, because there's a big opportunity there. So when it comes to driving leads, I've got this little traffic light system up. What I'd love you to do is think about, where's the opportunity right now? And kind of rate yourself. On organic, are you green, or kind of coming up for all of the different keywords in your service area? Is that yellow or red? Maybe you're not coming up. Maybe that's a big opportunity. If so, that's the play, right? Are you running paid search? Maybe you're not doing paid search, or your average cost per lead is too high, or your return on investment just isn't where it needs to be. You kind of rate yourself on that. And a lot of us, if we're not doing database marketing, we're not marketing back to that existing customer base. This is low-hanging fruit, big opportunity that you probably want to mark with a big red if that's the opportunity for you in that area. Any questions on these strategies for driving leads? For those of you that are on, feel free to put it in the chat if you've got any questions that you want me to unpack there. If not, I'm just going to keep pressing forward. Okay, cool. So we've talked about how to drive leads. Next thing we have to do is we have to think about how we're going to maximize conversion. And again, we want to convert our visitors into leads, and then we want to convert those leads into booked jobs. We want to convert those booked jobs into repeat customers that say positive things about us and refer us to others. And so to maximize conversion, there's 3 elements we need to look at. Number 1 is our website. We want to make sure that our website is built to convert a visitor to a caller, and we want to track what that conversion ratio is. And again, I'm going to do an hour-long webinar on this topic. I don't want to bore you to tears. Very specific things you can do on the website specifically to maximize your conversion rate. And I put this in your workbook so you've got access to it. Make sure we're speaking to the avatar, that we've got real pictures and videos on the website, that we're using multimedia, that we're leveraging proof to showcase our reviews and testimonials. We've got our phone number in the right place. Our website is mobile friendly and easy to convert. We've got online booking, and we've got online two-way text messaging. Those make a big difference on how well your website's going to convert visitors into callers. I'm just going to pull up as an example here, Valley Plumbing. This is a website that really converts extremely well. And you can see the fundamental things that make this work is the phone number in the right-hand corner, images of the actual people and branded images that make you feel like this is a trusted provider, the ability to convert in a variety of ways. So we can call, we can book directly online. So this could go into Service Titan or House Call Pro or Schedule Engine, make it easy for them to schedule, and the ability to engage via two-way text message or a chat on the website directly. And I could go deep on other elements on the website, but those are the main things. And then obviously making sure that it's easy to convert on mobile, right? Make sure your website's easy to access on a mobile phone. And so example of this client, $10,000 a month in spend, 510 leads generated, $18 per lead average. We can see this is a mix, right? We're not just doing organic. We're doing organic. We're doing paid. We're also tapping into database marketing and conversion. But we're fanatical about tracking the conversion from a visitor to a lead, right? We need to know how many visitors, how many leads, and what's that conversion ratio. In this case, you can see they converted 35% from visitor to lead. And that's a great metric to shoot for. Another company we work with, Nixco Plumbing in Mason, Ohio. You can see here $5,000 spend, 535 leads across a couple of different channels. And 1,000 visitors. It's a 38% conversion from visitor to caller. When you get that conversion rate up, it makes all of the marketing that you do more effective, whether it's your paid or your organic. And so just hitting the 80-20 principle on things you want to look at to make sure your website is built to convert: personality and authenticity. We want to make sure we've got video where possible. It doesn't have to be super fancy. Shoot it from your cell phone. Get some video to engage with the people that get to your website. Showcase your online reviews and testimonials. Have online request form or online booking. If you're at a place where you can do online booking, definitely do it. Your customer today would much prefer to just text you or to actually book it and get it done than to have to call in and have a conversation and schedule that online. So web forms, easy conversion capabilities, tell them what to do next, have the two-way text messaging options. So that's the website. Very specific things you can do on your website to improve your conversion rate, shooting for a 25, 30% plus conversion from visitor to caller. The other big thing that will impact your conversion rate is your reviews and your reputation, right? If you don't have lots of positive reviews from your real customers in your true service area, the customer is going to go to somebody else, right? Even if they like you, even if they've like maybe seen one of your trucks or they referred to you, usually what they're going to do is they're going to go to Google and they're going to search your company reviews. And there's two red flags. If you don't have enough reviews, that's a red flag. If you've got a 3.5 star rating or less, ideally we want 4 stars and plus. And then it's like, okay, this is a solid company I can feel confident doing business with. And so my best suggestion for getting more reviews, obviously create a great customer experience, train your team that reviews is a big part of what you do. Train your team how to ask for reviews, train your team that in the meetings, you're going to call out the technicians that actually got reviews. But outside of that is leveraging automation so that at the end of every service call, a review request goes via email and text message. Text message being the big play. Again, your emails, regardless of how good your email system is, people don't want to see emails. They're not going to click on the link to write the review. But if you follow up via text message right after the service call, that gets clicked, that gets reviews. And if you use House Call Pro or Service Titan, which I think a lot of us do, there's an automation now that can automatically kick off to Conversion Amp, which is our platform, Customer Lobby, Bird Eye, all of these different platforms to do the review request automatically. For our clients that we layered the automation in place, so basically once the job is closed inside Service Titan or whatever platform you use, it automatically sends a review request. That means every customer basically is getting a review request, assuming your technicians are doing a good job, assuming they've been trained to kind of plant that seed. You start to get almost a 20% service call to review ratio, right? If you think about your volume, you can start to outpace just about any competitor when you're getting that amount of reviews on a consistent basis. So a good example of this is the Plumbing Nerds, which we work with in the Bonita Springs area. And we started with them when they were a net new company. They quickly grew the company, and you can see here over 1.2 thousand reviews, all within a matter of a couple of years. Big spend, right? So there's $21,000 a month in spend. We get about 884 leads per month, $25 average cost per lead. Nice mix between organic, PPC, Google Maps, web forms. Obviously, the website's built to convert. Obviously, they come up well organically. Obviously, we're running the paid search. But I really believe those online reviews play a big part in that result. They play a big part in that outcome. So we've talked about the website. We've talked about the reputation and making sure we've got good reviews. We've got enough volume of reviews. And of course, those reviews also play in to your organic results, right? They impact the results in terms of how well you rank, but they also impact how well somebody's going to trust you and choose to do business with you or not. But number 3 from conversion, I think the big opportunity for most of us on today's call is automation. Making sure we're leveraging automation to follow up with our leads that come in, and we're leveraging automation to request reviews. We're leveraging automation to get repeat and referral business over time, because there's lots of ways to get leads. Really, in today's market, as a plumbing, HVAC, electrical contractor, there's a myriad of ways that we can get leads. And we talked about SEO and Google Ads and pay-per-lead services like Thumbtack. home advisor, your actual trucks. I think one of the bigger challenges is not converting enough of those leads into book jobs. And so what we find, kind of listening to our calls for our clients, we work with several hundred plumbing and HVAC contractors from across the country, is almost like 50 to 60% of inbound calls leave unconverted. So they were in the market, they were in the service area, they called in, but they didn't convert either because the customer wasn't ready right then, or they didn't answer the phone, unfortunately, in some cases. An even bigger problem we see is web forms. People go on and they fill in that form on the site. Hey, I'd like to request a quote. Almost 90% of web forms fail to convert. It's almost like where leads go to die. And I think the reason for this, as I look at it, is this is a competitive market, right? There's hundreds of plumbing, HVAC, electrical, drain cleaning companies in almost every city across America. And your customer has a lot of places that they can go, right? They're going to go to Google and they're going to go from one result to the next, or they're going to go to Thumbtack, or they're going to go to one of these sites and request information. If you're not following up in 15 minutes or less, you've lost the opportunity. Literally, they've already called somebody else, they've already scheduled it somewhere else, and they've moved on. The other opportunity, though, is we got to follow up quick, but we also need to make sure we touch them a number of times. We talked about the buy now person versus the, hey, I'm just evaluating my options. We want to make sure those web forms and those inbound calls that don't convert right on the spot get added to a nurture sequence where we're just checking in. Hey, did you get that solved? Hey, do you need some more help with that? We find that could have a huge impact on conversion. But the other reason we're seeing such poor conversion rates is today's customer would prefer to interact via two-way text message than a phone call, right? And yes, in the past, we just wanted a phone call, right? That was where it was at. We want that phone call to come in. But your customer today, if they have the option to text in with you or to book directly online, they would choose that. And if we're not leveraging two-way text messaging, we're missing out on a lot of the opportunity. And so really what I think is the solution, and what we are seeing working well for a lot of the clients we work with, is the leverage automation. So that any web form on your site, whether it's the form or the two-way text message chat, we make sure that within 2 minutes or less, they get a phone call, they get an email, and they get a text message automatically. And the phone call piece is it rings to someone in your office and they're prompted to stop what they're doing and have that conversation. The other thing is to have automation so that the prospect gets touched a number of times via two-way text message if they haven't converted. This is what it looks like in a Gantt chart here, right? Somebody gets to the website and they fill in a form or they make a call and then they start a chat and then they're going to keep getting touched and nurtured until they schedule. And then once they schedule, your scheduling platform will take it from there. They don't schedule, they get added to this loop. And it's not an annoying loop, but it's just kind of like, hey, did you get that solved? Hey, you called in a couple of weeks ago, just wanted to check in. You still have any issues? And right once they say, I'm done, or like, no, I've already done it, we take them out of the sequence. Once it's booked inside your system, we take them out of the sequence. But having that automation in place means more and more of the leads that you generate can actually convert into book jobs. And kind of the second layer to that is once they do become a customer, we can drop them into another automation that touches base with them over time to find ways to get back into the home, to find ways to get referrals. And this automation can have a huge ripple effect of the effectiveness of all of the other marketing that you do. So when it comes to the conversion side of the equation, website, reputation, automation, I love to think about like what's the opportunity for you on that front. And the system we use, our system is called Conversion Amp. We'll implement that for you as clients, or you can check it out at conversionamp.com. Is booking directly on the website easy to set up? Steve, it is. You can, ideally, you're using House Call Pro or Service Titan. Most of our clients use Service Titan. And Service Titan now has online scheduling. And so it can like feed right into your dispatch board. Customer can pick a day and a time. Usually it goes into a holding bin. So it's like tentatively scheduled. And then your team calls and says, hey, you're scheduled for Thursday at 3. Actually, we've got a technician in your area tomorrow at 2. You want to move it to then. We want to give the customer the ability to tentatively pick a time on the schedule. That way, in their mind, they've booked something and they stop searching, right? That's really what we want. And you can do this directly through Conversion Amp if you want to use that, because we've got a scheduling mechanism for it. and we can sync up with your existing calendar. You can do that through ServiceTitan directly. You can do it through House Call Pro directly. You can also use something like Schedule Engine, where you can get them to answer a bunch of questions leading into the appointment. But we do want to make sure we have that built up. If you're using House Call Pro, they have an online booking link. Yes, exactly. You can do it right inside. You can actually embed that into your site. Okay, so next thing we need to do is we need to optimize the results. And really, I think this is where the money's made. A lot of times, to get from where you are to where you want to be, one question we have to solve for is total spend. Are we spending enough on SEO, on Google Ads, on LSA to get the outcomes that we're after? Like if you're at $500,000, you want to go to $1 million, you probably need to spend a little bit more as the company grows, as a percentage of revenue. And so I've got a great tracking sheet that we put together. I can share with anybody that wants, part of your 2024 planning process here, where it kind of plots out what's the goal for the year. Based on that, what percentage of your revenue will you invest back into marketing to give you a sense of how much you need to spend? What we find is a lot of companies want to like spend a flat $1,000 to $2,000 per month. Well, we know to really grow, you need to be spending more like 6 to 10% back into your marketing. To get moderate growth, to get accelerated growth, you need to spend 15% or more. And so it's really important to make sure we've looked at what's our goal, what percentage. So if we want to do $1 million, we probably need to put $100,000 to get accelerated growth. If we want to get to 5 million at 10%, even as 10%, we probably need $500,000. So just making sure we're spending enough to be effective. Jerry, I'll make sure you get that link. I'm not sure if it's in here. It's not in this document, but I'll make sure you get it before we wrap up, because this is an important aspect of really planning out that budget. So we need to know how much to spend. We also need to track against that. Like we need to be able to see, how much did I spend this month? Did I spend enough in my marketing to get the outcomes I'm after? I think number 2 is we have to really know what that average cost per lead is. If we look at our marketing, if we don't know that the average cost per lead is $45 or $100, it could easily overspend, right? It'd be like, I have no idea. Like we spent some money, we got some leads. I don't know what we're actually getting out of this. We, as a client, will set you up with a dashboard that looks like this, where we can say, here's your total spend. And that's looking at our management fee plus what you're spending in your various channels. And then we track all of the leads that come in. So we can track organic, paid search, Google Maps, web forms. So we can show, here's what you spent. Here's what your total lead volume was. And then based on that, this is your average cost per lead on any window of time, this month, this quarter, this year. And knowing that number gives you confidence to say, okay, let's continue to kind of roll that out. Let's continue to grow it from there. And I showed a bunch of examples of that dashboard throughout the course of the session today. But then number 3 is we need to know return on investment. Like who cares if you're getting a $10 lead or a $100 lead? If those leads aren't converting to revenue and the revenue doesn't justify the expense, it probably still isn't a really good move. And so you want to be able to say, I spent $1,000 and I generated $12,000 in revenue, right? And that's my return on my investment. And the way we do this for most clients is directly in our reporting platform with projections, right? So we can say, average projection of an 85% conversion from lead into book job, 75% conversion in the field, average transaction value 450. If those numbers all work out, then you should have generated $272,000 in revenue, right? In this particular case, which is a 22-time return on investment. If you know those numbers, you can get pretty close and you can have a pretty good projected return on investment. It's better than nothing, but it's still just a projection. It's just a guess. I'm a big fan of kind of looking at next level reporting. And so we have what we call an ROI Insights report available today that syncs up with House Call Pro and it syncs up with ServiceTitan. And it matches the leads we generate to the jobs that are actually booked within ServiceTitan or House Call Pro, whatever dispatch system you use. Those are 2 that most of our clients use, so that you're no longer guessing. Like you'll be able to see down to the dollar, here's what we spent, here's how much revenue was generated. Here's how much we spent on Google Ads and how much actually came out of that. I think that's the gold standard. If you want to be competitive in 2024 and beyond, we need to have that ROI Insights report matched up so that we can continue to double down on the things that are not hypothetically generating an ROI, but are absolutely generating an ROI, and know it down to the data point. And so again, today's session, I wanted to hit what you need to do to triple your sales by getting your internet marketing right, kind of hit the key things you need to do to drive leads, to maximize conversion, and then to optimize the return on investment. Hopefully this has been helpful. I gave you guys a workbook that you can track along and kind of look at this and see, like, what am I missing? Where's the opportunity? Steve says, does Conversion Amp work with other platforms like Thumbtack and Angie? Yes. So certain platforms have an open API where we can pull that lead data in. Others, as long as you get an email with the lead information, which most systems will send, like Angie will send you an email, hey, this customer's name is this, their email's that, this is what they're looking for. We can parse that data and put it into the automated follow-up process. I think Thumbtack is one example of a platform that doesn't send an email. It's only within their app. And it takes a little bit of gymnastics to gain access to those Thumbtack leads. But we are actively working on that. So hopefully that answered that question. So as you think about this accelerated growth model, what's the opportunity? You know, is it on the driving lead side, the conversion side? Is it results? Is it somewhere of all of it, like a little bit of all of it kind of mixed in together? Good example, again, and I want to share examples in case studies as we go, is Paul the plumber, can we work with $12,000 spend, 1,555 leads a month, $7.75 leads, grew from 6 trucks to 16 trucks, did $10 million last year. And really, it was a function of this process rolled out over a period of time. I know if we've got the right spend, we've got the right ROI, we're doing the right things to drive leads, we're doing the right things to maximize conversion, there should be no reason we can't have perpetual growth within the business. And so, again, I think the workbook is there for you to kind of walk you through this entire process. This is the accelerated digital dominance method. Love for you just to get clear. If you think about the key things you need to focus on, the key things you need to 3, what would be 3 action items you can take away and that you can implement? If you need help, that's what we're here for, right? Whether you're a client, Jerry will make sure we implement this all the way for you. If you're not a client and you need support, you can schedule a time by going to plumberseo.net/schedule. You can call us at 866-610-4647. On that schedule page, you can just pick a time. We'll do some due diligence, come into the call, look at the website, look at the SEO, look at the pay-per-click, and have an authentic conversation around what needs to change in order to get the results that you want. So if that's you, go ahead and schedule a time. I see Steve's asking, does Conversion App, are there different pricing packages for Conversion App? Yeah, there's, go to conversionamp.com. I think the pricing is right here. So it's $495 per month for the premium option, $350 for the automations that you might need. In my mind, if this can help you book one additional job a month, it more than pays for itself. But this is something that would impact every single lead you generate and will pay dividends versus the expense. And so if you want to do a full demo of how it works and how it would play in your situation, you can go there and click the book online, schedule a time. Jerry, we have included this for you. So we'll be setting this up for you if it's not already set up to make sure you can plug this in and hit the ground running with it. I'm going to pull up that worksheet for you. That way you have it. And if anybody has questions, feel free to ask. Hang on, that's not it. No. I just did it for the last webinar. I'll find it and make sure you have it. Here we go. This is what you're looking for. I'm going to give you this here. So basically this kind of shows what, if you go through the 2024 planning document, it kind of breaks this down for you, like revenue target, average ticket, number of jobs you need per month. But if you go straight to the budget allocations, this will help you figure out how much you should be spending for accelerated growth. So Feel free to get with Dane Jerry on the team. If you want him to walk through this with you, he can help you flesh this out, but I'm going to drop this link for everybody. It's a Google Sheet, so you can just go file, make a copy, and it's something you can clone and modify. Also, I continue the recording where I kind of walk through the entire thing as we built the 2024 growth plans. Excellent. Guys, thanks for your attention. Thanks for sticking with me through this. Again, the goal was to kind of walk you through the how to triple your sales model. Any questions before we wrap up today? I know you guys are busy, but if you have any specific questions, I'd be glad to answer them. All right. I'm not seeing any questions. So Lori says, great training. Thank you. Jerry says, great job. Fantastic. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for being on here today. Thank you for your undivided attention. If you ever need to reach out to me, it's josh@plumberseo.net. Feel free to connect with me anytime. And let's all triple our sales over the next 12 to 24 months. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.